Is there any question from Wednesday? If there's none, just let me know in the chat so that I can move on. Oh, okay. So I take silence as there's none. Okay, Basia, you want to say something?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for the other day.
Yeah.
So I sent on the group. I don't know if you're on our WhatsApp group, because I thought that probably after each class that we're going to have access to the recording so that we can, especially for the slides, so that we'll be able to go through them again. But I posted, but nobody responded. So I don't know
Oh,
how exactly, because we were not able to. For me, now, actually, I did jot some things down, but I felt if we still have the slide, at least it will still be better for us so that we can easily go back to the slides and check the things that we didn't get, and also look further if we need to check the internet. And even if you can't have access to the recording, at least we should have access to the slides. So I don't know which one the organizers have for us. That's my comment.
oh,
But I don't
okay.
have any other question.
Sorry about that, right? I'm not on the group chat. That's why. I'm going to join the group chat today. I think it skipped our mind, right? So I did not get to even see your content, your message. But I'll drop this slide with the organizer right after this class so that she would post it pending when I join the group.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so for today we'll be looking at heuristic principles, right? And the heuristic principles are like guidelines that we've talked about UX laws. Now we're talking about heuristic principles for interface design. So US laws was mostly focused on usability, that's user experience. But this heuristic principle, right, is focused on the UI itself. So like I said, we are doing the two, and that's how we are going to be looking at it. So what are heuristic principles, or what are Jacob's heuristic principle? It was propounded by Jacob Nelson, and we have 10 general principles. And they are basically rules of thumbs that we use to enhance our designs to ensure that we are designing well and we are designing right. Now, one of it, we have 10 of them, and we're going to be looking at them throughout this class. So the number one is what we call visibility of system status. Visibility of system status. What does this really mean? It's this particular law is talking about communication. You should communicate the current states to allow your users to feel in control of the system. So something happened to me yesterday. I went to get something and I did a transfer from my business account. So after that transfer, right, the money did not, I was debited, but the guy did not see it. And funny how it was same bank transfer. So it was from Kuda to Kuda. Pending that, I did not know that they had emergency, what do they normally call that stuff? Emergency upgrade. So the system was bad. And because it's a big amount of money, the place I went to, the guy refused to allow me leave. So that's why I sat there from 6 o'clock till almost 7:30. He still did not see the money. Now, because none of us wanted to risk it, I did not want to risk not carrying the goods. He did not want to risk giving me the what I went to buy. So I had to do another transfer, telling him that when I come back, when he sees the money, maybe today, he should let me know, or he should send it back. And then this morning, I called him. I did the second transfer to a different account and it worked. So this morning, I called him and he checked his account and he said he's seeing his account, that his account has increased, but he's not seeing the alerts. But then he was going to send it to me because they sent a message later on that they were having emergency upgrade. So it's affected receiving money and sending money. Now, that is what this particular law is talking about. It's talking about communication. Communicate the current state so that your users would feel in control of the system, so that they can take actions, or so that they can trust the brand more. So it's more like trust. It's the same thing we all do in our relationships, right? Where they tell you communication is key, even in family. If you don't communicate, nobody would know what is wrong with you at the same time. Now, one thing you need to note is this particular law is more than UI. It's not just UI, it's about transparency, it's about communication. Because the more information that your users get, the better for them to make a decision. So what are the instances that you get to do it? What are the instances? Let's say for instance, you look at Jumia, right? Let me open Jumia as I'm talking right now. And then you get to see where this is in play. This is in play on Jumia website a lot. Now let's look at, if you go down, you would see that they have flash sales, right? You can see the percentage. They are telling you the exact percentage that you are using for their flash sales. Let's go to, okay, they are not doing any more sales. But then if Jumia is doing sales, you'll get to see it 3 days remaining. You see counters, right? Telling you you have 2 days remaining, you have 3 days remaining, 45 minutes remaining, all of those things, and including the number of products. Let's say they have just 3 of these products. They will tell you that they have 3 of that particular product. So that's where you get to use them on. Now, secondly, you can see in this particular design, changing the color also means communication. That you can see that they have different designs or different tags that they are supposed to select from. Tag A, tag B, tag C, and all of that. But once I select one, you will get to see the red color to communicate to me that you have actually marked one, that you've marked one. Now, the next one is in, if you click the button, it will actually move you to a next stage. Okay, no, if you watch this video, right, let me see if I can play this video. So look at the video. After playing it, it's not even showing the user that you are moving to another place. It is not actually a very good way. You're supposed to show them progress reports that they are moving to another place. They are moving somewhere. It's also the same thing when you try to select something on music, some music platform. You see that to show you it is selected, you just start seeing that it is selected. So these are ways that you get to, sorry, these are ways that you get to communicate to your users. Now, you can do it in when stock is low. You tell them that the stock is low when there are no items, especially for e-commerce. If you're trying to design an e-commerce app, this is how you get to show it. So sometimes you get to see this thing on Jumia where you'd see the number remaining, the quantity remaining, and all of that. If they have like 5 quantities, you list it down there that it's remaining 5 quantities. If they are doing any sales, you get to see it. What is going to help you do it? So it's going to help you your customers to feel in control. It's going to help them trust your brand well. When Kuda sent that message, right, my mind came down because already they've been having this inconsistency for a while, and I've been complaining about it because they don't send you message. You just get to see, sorry, your transaction is not successful. But if they keep sending you message for every time that they are having for any time that they are having all of this emergency thing, if they keep telling you that, okay, see what is happening, we are doing this, you get to trust them. Even if your money, you have a lot of money there, you would not feel bad that your money is going to waste. So that is what visibility of systems that is. The whole action point is don't blindfold your users. Always keep them informed about everything and anything that is going to occur on the system, either by mail, either by in-app messages, but anyhow you want to do it, just ensure that you communicate with your users. So are we clear? All right. So the next one, right, is what we call match between the system and the real world. So this particular law or this particular principle is just telling us that we should speak the user's language with familiar words, phrase, concepts, and icons to show that what is obtainable in the real life is what is obtainable here. Do we get? So let's say, for instance, right? Let's look this. If you look at your laptop, your folder, how does your folder look? I want to see people that have been using, that have been paying attention to it. If you open your laptop, right, and you create a folder, what is the folder, that folder icon? What is it showing you, or what comes to your mind when you see that folder icon? Guys, you can check your
Sorry.
folder. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I
hear you.
I don't get the question. Like, what comes to mind? Is it like opening a new folder, or I really
So when you see the folder on your laptop, what pictures does it paint to you? What picture does it paint? Or what can you see that is related to your real world?
seriously, I can't think of anything.
Oh, you can't think of anything. Tolu, how about you? Can you think of anything when you look at your folder?
Like a new folder on the laptop, right?
Yes, yes, a folder on the laptop.
Oh well, I can just nothing so specific. I mean, nothing so huge. I don't, well, probably because I've been used to it over time, so I don't feel anything so different. Just
Okay. Does it look like a pause? Look at it very well now. Does it look like a pause?
pause. Well, I can only liken the yellow color to probably that of an envelope.
Yeah, an envelope or a pause, something like that. Yes. So your folder, right? If you look at your folders very well, you would get to realize that they somehow look like a purse, a traditional purse. It looks like an envelope. And it is very easy, right, as users to be able to relate that with what do we use, what do we use purse for, or envelope to store something. So they are bringing that picture you already have in the real world, a bag and all of that, to the system. So that's what this particular law is saying. The concept, the icons, everything you use should give you should show like it's to show that it's what you can get. Now let's take for instance, if you look at your waste bin, right? If you look at your recycle bin icon, it is our normal waste bin that we have, our normal dustbin. That's the same. The picture of what you have on your recycle bin is the same picture. If you look at search icons on any platform, you'll see that it's a magnifying glass. And in the real world, we use magnifying glasses to further look into something to see deeper. And that's that's what the whole search concept is all about. And then if you look at your cat, your add to cart icon, right? Your add to cart icon, your add to cart icon is same thing. Your add to cart is like a is it throwaway, something like that, basket in shopping malls. That's the same thing that they use. If you look at your login icon, sometimes it comes with padlock. It shows you're trying to log something. So your password, right? Your password, it's a padlock most times. It shows you're trying to lock something, right? You're trying to store something. So that's what this particular law is trying to tell us. You need to match something that they find similar in the real world to what if you're trying to design. So your icons, the phrases. Now, this is not just around icons, right? Including the kind of words you would use. If people don't understand the terms that is on your website, they would feel so unsure, or sometimes they'll just ignore it. At the end of the day, you're losing more users, right? So the kind of words you use, the headline should be relatable. Just take a look at this. Preventive care is important to your health. It's something that you can easily relate to. what is preventive health? If you read, you just know that you need to read it to get the concept. They did not come up with one very complex term to use to put there. They just went straight to the point, talking about preventive health and how it's going to help you. Look at the about us page of this particular system. If you check, most of the things that they have here is actually related. Also, you have to use the real world object. Now, if you use iPhone, right, you would always see this map. I think this is map on navigation. Now, in our real world, this is the same thing that we use for navigation and all of that. If you look at so there are different examples I can give. If you look at earphones, right? And when you see it on the system, they also look the same way. If you look at how Notion is built, when people want to start writing something or write books and all of that, you'll notice that it is familiar with how our notebook is. So what this law is trying to tell us is all principle, all parts must work together, from our icons to our text to all of those things. We need to ensure that they all work together to make sure your users know or your users understand what is there. So never assume that your users understand your words. Never assume all of those things. You need to actually give them languages, icons that are related, that they can easily understand without opening their dictionary or any of those. So that's the second law. Now we have the third law, which is user control and freedom. This is the number 3 law. So what this law states is users make mistake or they can decide to change their mind at any time. Allow them to exist a flow or undo their last action based on what they want. So I think I should be recapping. The first one is communication. Always ensure that your users, you are communicating the system status to your users. They already know what is happening. You're not keeping them in the dark. Then the second one is talking about matching what is in the real world and what you're trying to design online, so that it's going to relate, so that they can easily relate it to what they are already used to in the real world. Now, this third one, we're talking about user freedom and control. It means that your users can make mistake. We are not above mistake, right? We all make mistake, but then give them the flexibility to be able to go back. They should be free. You don't just get to tie them. So if we've paid so much if we're paying so much attention to the app we use, you'll notice that there's always a back button. If you click on login, if you're designing something, you always see a back button. This is an example. Can you see the back button there? So even when I go forward, I can still go back. So users should be able to quickly control mistake when they go. Now, the different ways you can help them to do it is a backlink. That's a button that would allow them to return to the previous page that they are coming from. A cancel button that would allow users to exit a task quickly, that will allow them cancel something quickly. Then we have the close link that they can use to easily close the platform. Then we have the undo option, where users can press on Control D, that they can press on Control D and go. Is it Control D? No, Control Z, sorry. Undo. Control Z and quickly undo what they want to do. So whenever a user should click a link on a page, they should be able to go back to where they are coming from, right? They should be able to close it. They should be able to use the nav bar to click different section, to click different parts of their screen. You should never leave that disabled. I've seen some websites where you go and that button is disabled. You can't do anything because it's disabled. So what this law is trying to tell us is we should never leave it disabled at any point in time. We should ensure that they can go back. And sometimes, right, when they try, as a user, when you try to use a particular app and you, by mistake, I've done it several times as a UI UX person, sometimes you just want to see other people's design. You just want to see a design. It's not like you really need to do anything about it. And then when you get stuck, you are angry about it. But with close, cancel, and all of that, you can quickly go back to where you're coming from, to and fro. So this is an example. These are examples. You can see backlink. As you're going, you can see links to just take it back to where you're coming from and all of that. Then another thing is you should make it discoverable, right? There are some people that will put close and they'll put it somewhere that you can't see it. You should always allow people to be able to see it. Things like this, delete. On WhatsApp, I think this is how you can see their deletes. Is this WhatsApp? Yes. I think WhatsApp, you can see it like this too. And on several other apps, then you can also ensure that there is an option for Control Z for people to always use your platform. You can see this is how you put undo for your users. You might not need to use, you'll be asking, because I know that some persons will be asking. So for UI UX designers, you know that it's not your own work to ensure that Control D is working, the keyboard is working. But then what you can do is you can actually design interfaces like this. This is it. It's just a normal alert design that you just put undo for them. So they can close, they can undo, and all of that. Are we following, guys? Are we together? Is there any confusion so far?
No, everything is fine.
Yes, yes, we're together. We're
Okay. So that's the third law. We've talked about 3 so far, and we have 10. Now, the next one is what we call consistency and standard. Now, for consistency and standard, right, what you're trying to do in this stage is you're trying to ensure that users don't wonder whether a particular thing means a particular thing. So you need to follow industry standards and convention. So let's say, for instance, right, if you look at Google, if you're used to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, will Microsoft PowerPoint be hard for you? I'm talking about in terms of, I think I should open them. I should open them as I'm talking so that we can get to see something. This is Google Docs. So I'll be using Google Docs. This is Google Docs. Let me open a blank page. And I would open another one. I'll just open another. Which one should I open? Google Sheets. And I'll do same. Now, what can you notice? This is Google Docs. This is Google Sheets. What can you notice?
I think they have a different how would I say it? One comes in tabular form and the other one is just thing that you can type.
Okay, so I'm not really talking about the differences, right? I'm talking about what you can see on this part, this first page. Let's leave this down, this header, and what you can see here.
Well, they look so similar. Just that
Exactly that.
the headers, they have different colors at some levels. Like one is a dark green or blue. I mean, the colors vary, not.
Okay, so that's what I want you to note, right? You can notice that this is similar. You have file here, you have the logo here, you have the title here, you have file, edit, view this for Google Docs. If you come to Google Drive, you still have the same thing, the same arrangements of their stuff. So it's very easy, right? When you switch from it looks like Excel in Microsoft, yes, in Microsoft. So when you switch, right, if you're used to Google Docs, you can easily know how to use Google spreadsheet. Now, I'm not talking about the technicalities, right? On how to use it to make calculations and all of that. I'm talking about looking for files. If you go on that file, you will notice you would see a new, open, make a copy, save, download, and all of that. If you go to sheets too. If you go to sheets, you will still see the same thing. So this particular law is talking about maintaining consistency. Now, across, people should not wonder, if I'm used to Google Docs, I should also know how to use Google's spreadsheet. That means when it comes to creating files and all of that, each of them, they have their peculiarities, right? They have what they are meant for. Google Docs is used to type this. Google Spreadsheet is mostly used for calculations and or anything statistics. That's what you use it for, just like the word spreadsheet. But the docs is mostly for docs. You can see that it helps, it makes sense to users that they don't need to think about how your website works. If you're used to Microsoft Word, you can still use Google Sheet Docs without even disturbing yourself, because they are similar. So you need to push that your application should act and look alike at the same time. So this is one thing for Google. I think some other products, they also have the same thing. Now let's take, for instance, Adobe products. If you use Adobe Photoshop, if you switch to if you decide to use AI, it's still the same way that they arrange their stuff on Photoshop that they still use it in illustration. If you say you want to open XD, it's the same thing. So like I said, there's what we call internal consistency. Internal consistency, it's the consistency within a product or a family of products. So when we talk about a family of products, we're talking about Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft spreadsheet. I think, what do they call it? All of these Microsoft products, if you look at them, they have the same kind of consistency across board. If you look at how their text is arranged, it's the same way it's arranged here, it's the same way it's arranged here. Maybe just few different things that are making it not to be similar. Internal consistency, you can see it here on this particular platform. You can still see it on this particular platform. The same company, but they have what they use for it. And then you get to create a design system. So when we get to the design system part, you get to understand what a design system is. Design system will help you create consistency across all board. Look at what's it called? If you look at which product it is, Google's products, their mail and their new version and their old version almost similar. The same thing, they are still maintaining consistency even while they are changing. And then we have the external consistency that talks about how you design your work, how you do your navigation. So let's take, for instance, if you start with this kind of, you notice that when you talk about search and nav, you would mostly see this type. So once you see this type, you know that it's search. Once you see a rectangle that is rounded or a rectangle that is not completely rounded, you know that you are talking about text, right? You're talking about all of these things. So even if tomorrow you want to design your own, you still design it like this. Maybe different efficacy, all of that. So external consistency is how other versions they are working, other platforms they are working, and how they are working, but they are still looking the same way. Now, let's talk about the layers of consistency, right? How you can evaluate consistency or how you can add consistency to your design. One is visual. Now, this includes your typography, your icons, your image. Anything you are using should be consistent across board. So if you're using illustrations in your design, it should be, everywhere should be illustrations. If you're using um if you're using normal pictures, you should maintain that. If you're using field icons, right, you should maintain field icons all through. If you're using outline icons, you should maintain it all through. So when we start, I'm going to show us what field icon is, what outline icon is, and all of that. Then another way you can maintain consistency is in your page and your button layout. How is your button? If you start with this kind of button, rounded button, across board, you should have rounded button. If you start with the normal friendly button, across board, you should have that kind of button. The only thing that should differentiate each is in color style. when we want to talk about delete, right, you know that your delete button should be red and all of that, but it should still maintain same style. The next one is in user data, right? When it comes to dates, phone numbers, and all of that, you should also maintain consistency across board. If you're taking their country code first, everything should, or anywhere that they need to include that should have their country code. Now, it also boils down to your content. You should maintain consistency in your content. You should present it in a way that people know the voice. So you know that in graphic design, right? I can be designing for this particular company and I resign. One thing that is not good is if I resign and another person should take over, it should not be very visible that the person designing is not the one designing again. So when you maintain consistency in your content, in your style guide, in your design system, it's going to help you a lot, right? So even if you're the one that is designing, because like I said, design is iterative. Since might happen that is not you, there's a particular website that I'm working on. I'm not the only designer on it. We have two designers. But then if I design and the person should design, right, it still matches the system. It's not different. So you also get to do that in your content. Then the impact of consistency, what is it going to help us do? It's going to meet users' expectations. Your users would be expecting so much based on previous experience. So if you give them that, they would feel like they have mastered your interface, or they'll feel like they know how to use your interface. Then it will lower learning curves. The time that people are supposed to use to learn. So just like you using, if you're using normal Sterling Bank or normal, if you're using any bank, right? If you switch to another bank, it will be very easy for you to know how to use the interface. So that means you don't need to keep a lot of time. You don't need to use a lot of time learning how to start using it and all of that. Then fighting for consistency, right? You need to ensure consistency doesn't just happen. You have to ensure that you're doing it yourself. You look at different ways and how to ensure that all of these things are consistent across board. So that's that's it for consistency and standard. Now the next one is error prevention. So now one thing you need to note, this is talking about error messages, right? It's talking about error messages. Now, just imagine that your users are distracted from a task at hand and they are unconscious. How would you help them to avoid those kind of mistakes? So let me give you an instance, or let me give you a scenario, which I know that so many persons have faced it one way or the other. Have you been in a situation where you wanted to recharge 1,000 naira and you ended up recharging 10,000 naira? Or have you heard someone around you make that kind of mistake? You wanted to recharge 1,000 naira on your phone and you ended up recharging 10,000. Oh, okay, Michael. Now, one thing you need to note is those are errors that can occur in the platform. Now we have two types of errors, right? Two types of users errors. We have one we call the sleep. The sleep occurs when users intend to perform one action and they end up performing another. So that is what sleep is. You wanted to type 1,000 and you end up typing 10,000 naira. Now this is mostly accidental. You did not plan it. You just did not plan it and you did it. And the next one is mistake. Mistakes are made when users have goals that are inappropriate for the current problem or task. So let's say, for instance, you want to do something. I'm thinking of the right example to me. So mistakes are conscious. So let's say you want to delete something. You want to click on delete, for instance. Okay. When you want to format your phones, you know that we always have two options to format. We have the first one that will clear the whole data on your system or the one that will clear just a particular one. Now, you really want to delete, but at that point, right, once you go and delete everything when you didn't want to delete everything, that's like a mistake, because you're attempting to accomplish something that you ended up accomplishing another. So all of these things would always occur. All of these things would always occur. Now, one of the ways that you can prevent it is by giving your users good messages that can help them prevent it. So I was talking to somebody, and I was like, the best way to be able to solve this, I recharge 1,000 naira, and this there are so many ways you can do it. But our banks today that have not even helped us with that. One of it is maybe to put a very loud alert, which sends you a reminder for you to know. Because sometimes you might be talking and be doing it, and you've forgotten that you've made a mistake, which is very normal. It is very normal. So what you can do in situations like this is like, you know, the way if you go and click on, what's it called? If you click on, if you go to someone's door and you ring their bell, their doorbell, it's going to be very loud. So let's say you want to recharge, there's like a bell, or there's like a voice memo telling you, are you sure you want to recharge 10,000 naira? Once you hear the word 10,000 naira, you come back and maybe look at it. So just the way they do Siri on phone, they can want to implement that kind of idea where once you recharge, it would actually tell you the amount that you recharge. Are you sure you want to do this one? So are we together? Now, the next one is the kind of message you actually put out, right? You get to put out good messages. Now, this is an example. This is an example of how you can help users, minimize making mistake. Now, imagine you want to book an hotel, or you want to book a ride for a particular day. It's advisable that you put the days that are available. So you can see that from this, the available days are from 8 to 11th. So you have to choose a date within that. So you are helping them to prevent making mistake, or prevent them from choosing a date that is not part of your offer. You can also offer suggestions. You notice that sometimes if you're typing on Google, right, you're typing my laptop is this, it will see suggestions, corrections, things that would pop up for you to now choose if it's it. So this way you can also help your users to avoid mistakes and all of that. The next way you can help them to avoid mistake is for them to choose a good default. So you can choose a default from there for them. Tomorrow, you know that tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Saturday. So you put Saturday there. Next week will start from Monday, you put it. In the next 1 hour, you put the exact time for them. So you're giving them the good default that they know that they can use to do it. Then you can use formatting. So what we mean by formatting, right? Let's say for instance, I have successfully recharged, and I want to be able to prevent that error, right? You can help me quickly reverse it, like putting an undo, where I can just undo the recharge and it will come back to my account. So all of those things are formatting that you can help your users. So is there any question on this? This is for error prevention. Okay, so I take the silence as there is none. So the next one is memory recognition and recall in user interface. So what this is saying that you should show users things that they can recognize. It will improve usability. Okay, I can see a chat. None. I think we are customer-centric in design. Yes, exactly. We are focused on our users. We are not focused on ourselves. And when it comes to user design, like it is right, it is called user interface. Memory recognition rather than recall. So you need to show users things that they can recognize. it will help them to improve usability. So at every point, they don't need to recall it. So you know that if I recognize somebody or if I know someone's name, I don't need to think about it anytime I see the person. Because recalling someone's name is actually very hard. Yes, it's very hard. Just imagine having to always think of how to recall my name. What is your name? Anytime I come to class and I'm asking you what is your name, what is your name? It's going to be tiring for you. You will just get tired of the whole thing because you've told me your name day one. And then anytime I come to class, I'll say, hey, you just get what is your name? You just get bored and all of that. So what this is trying to tell you is that you should ensure that your users are able to recognize. That is the first thing you need to do in your design. Your design should be if your design should help them recognize, not to recall. There's a particular app, right? That anytime I'm looking for something, I would have to spend time before I know where it is. Because at every point I'm recalling where I saw it last. Or you can see that, oh, I saw this thing somewhere, but I don't know where it is again. So that should not always happen. Your login buttons or anything you should use should be in the range that people can easily recognize it, not trying to better understand, not trying to say, okay, I'm trying to look for it and all of that. So you should activate content that people can memorize. So your content should come in chunks. It should come small, small, so that people can be able to recognize what it is. People can be able to recognize what it is. So what I recall in user interface, when you create password, you can help them for instance, right, it includes the name of your app, for instance. So now let's assume that you want to Jumia.com, very easy to understand. Designu.com, you can easily cram all of those things. Amazon.com, buyshoe.com, all of these things you can easily cram it. And then also your password, they would help you in how to recognize your password, because they will tell you your password should contain at, it should contain this, it should contain that. Before you know, you're gradually recognizing what it is. For Chrome, right, another way Chrome is helping us to recognize things is, if you notice, all of the buttons are labeled. For any button you come to, if I bring my mouse down to this, you would see that it's showing you that this is reload this page. If I bring it here, you see open the home page. If I bring it here, you see click to go back, hold to see history. If I bring it here, it will show you that this is it save or download? This is share, you can share. Then this is bookmark and all of that. You can see how you're helping your users to recognize rather than them trying to recall what this is. I saw a design recently from one of my friends, and the first question I asked him is, there was no proper labeling below. And I'm like, what is this icon for? And he's like, you're a UI designer, you're supposed to understand. I said, yes, I'm a UI designer, but even me, myself, I can't understand what this is. I can't understand what this is. So why do I need to try to always recognize it? Then another way you can help it is history and previous page visited. You can see that I know some of you would be thinking in your head, how is this related to the design that I want to do? At the end of the day, do you notice that this is a design? So you get to in history page. Let me go to history, right? If I go to my history here, do you notice that this is a design? This is a design. Someone designed this particular interface for history. So it's something that you would always do. You would always do. So put it in your mind that you need to learn it so that you can also include it, or you can also do it yourself. So that's it for recognition rather than recall. So the next one is flexibility and efficiency of use. So you should allow your users to be flexible with customizing their platform or customizing what they want. So that is one good thing about Android over iOS. With Android phone, right, you can customize so many things. You can customize your text, you can customize how your text, you want your text to appear. You can customize just so many things. It's giving you and flexibility. It's giving you don't need to really follow what they already have, so you can help them. Now you know that novice and experts, they have different needs. There are some people that their work is just to use a phone and take pictures. They don't care about customization. But there are some experts that they need it, that they need to customize. They need to put some of their apps, they need to arrange it in folders and all of those things, right? You know that your novice will require step-by-step guides on how to do some of those things. So what this method is saying is help them to be able to customize, give them multiple methods on how they can use what they want to do. Now, multiple methods that you can help them to use to assist people for efficiency of use and flexibility, right? And flexibility. They can type in their email address over and over again, and then you can help them store it. There's copy and paste. There is you trying to merge emails and send it separately. There are different ways. Then also allowing people to be able to change anything they want to change, swap what they want to swap, and all of that. So see, for instance, accelerators, once they type a particular name, you get to see accelerators, they can save it. You can see how people are able to save different platforms on their phone. I can decide to save Google that I went to, and anytime I want to do it, I'll just come and see it, that place and all of that. If you go to Photoshop, there are some people that customize their tools, right? You'll be able to customize your tools, customize your interface, and all of that. That's for flexibility and efficiency of use. And then we have the aesthetic and minimalist design. So what this particular one is talking about is more like it's talking about how it looks now. It's talking about every information, the kind of design you use. Your design should be very simple, but straight to the point, right? I should be able to look at your designs and I'm happy. It should not be very complex. It should be minimal but fine. I don't like, there are some designs that you go very fine, just one color and white, and it's okay. But there are some designs you go to and then you'll be wondering how or who designed this particular thing, and you don't want to use it again. So this law is talking about making your design simple and fine, easy to read and fine. Not plenty things full in the design. It should just be simple and easy to read. So that's it for aesthetic design. Then this one is talking about helping users to recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So by giving them good error messages that are bold. Now there's one of the one of the good bad design we saw that day. I was talking about the exact location of the error. So this is what this means. You should show me the error. So that's the idea. The idea behind naming of streets, right? I'm going to this particular street. There's a signpost showing me that this is the street so that I can easily enter it. Then you can use error messages that they understand. Don't go and use technical jargons. You hear things like 404 this, that, without going straight to the point to tell the users what is wrong with it, or 504 error. All of those things are not things that you need to use. And then the last one is what we call the help and documentation. Now, help and documentation, what this means is it's talking about you trying to help your ensure that your users can use your platform without always calling support. So you've seen the idea of FAQs in designs. if you see FAQs, right? What are FAQs? Frequently asked questions. You get to see it. People put it most times in their website because they want you to be able to look at get help yourself. Now we have two types of help. We have the proactive one that is aimed to familiarize users with the interface. So sometimes if you go, you see things like what is Kuda Bank? I think let me open it, and this is Kuda Bank, right? You can see their help section. You can see get help, scam awareness. So let's click on scam awareness. Okay, you can see scam awareness where they are telling you how you can easily prevent yourself from being scammed and all of that. So that's what this particular thing is telling us. We should ensure that we include the relevant help, the reactive help that helps them to answer questions and troubleshoot things, that's FAQs and all of those things. Always include it on your design so that your users will be able to know how to do it. Now, if you go on Microsoft Word, sometimes you can pick templates, right? You can get templates that you use to work on what you're doing. And sometimes you can say get help from anywhere and you can continue with it. So all of these things, guides on how to use it. Welcome, you're here. Let's take you around the system. All of those things are designs that you would have to work on eventually. And that's basically it. Is there any question, guys? So far, we've come to the end of the heuristic principles. Any question? Okay, so there's no question. We all understand it. Now, this is the part where we get to practice. So now the thing is not to cram all of these things, right? It's not for us to cram heuristic principle number one, communication, number two, this. It's how you implement it in designs. So now I want us to tell me any website, type any website that you want me to visit, and then we'll visit it, and then we'll look if they actually use each of these laws. So just suggest websites that you want me to visit. So I'm waiting to see your suggestions. Goal.com. All right. So we are going with goal.com for the first website. All right. So all right, after goal.com, PiggyVest. So now let's look at the first law. What's the first law? Communication. Always keep your users informed on what is going on in the system. I'm going to scroll this website and you let me know if they did that. And you just point to me where you feel like they followed that particular law. Okay, guys, we can now unmute. We can now unmute our websites. I say our website, so we can now unmute our mics. Okay, you want to say something? So guys, we are waiting. Number one law. Do you think that they are following the communication? So no one is saying anything. Hello? Are we here or we dropped our phones?
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Yeah.
good morning, Basira.
Hello, we are here.
Oh, okay.
To me,
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
right.
We are here with you, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay, so I'm a lady. I might need to show my face one day so that you know that I'm a lady. I'm not a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, my voice.
No problem, ma. No problem, ma.
All right, so
No problem, ma. You can
now I'm
continue, ma.
asking, right? I said we are doing this together. We've talked about the 10 principles. And like I said, it's not to cram it, too. It's not to cram it. Nobody will come and ask you,
Okay, ma.
nobody will ask you an exam question. The visibility of system status, define the third one. No. What we are doing now is we are to use it to look at websites to see if they are following it. So that's what we are doing. Now, the first website we are looking at, we have 4 websites here, okay, 3. We have go.com, PiggyVest, and Jumia as suggested by us. So this is go.com. And the first one is, what is the first one? The first one is communication, visibility of system status. That's the first one. That's telling us about keeping your users informed what is happening on the platform. And now I'm asking you, are they following this law based on what you can see here? If yes, where do you think that they are following the law? I'm expecting us to have seen it because it is glaring, it is showing.
Yeah, they are following the law. I mean, go.com is about football and other sports. And well, the MTN thing they have on it is just a kind of awareness for probably an event coming up. But on a normal day when one visits it, probably when the no special activity is coming up, one sees what one is looking for, which is to check live scores, events that will come up in football too, and the likes. So I believe they are communicating.
Okay. So now for the communication, right? They are following it. Look at it. This blue yellow stuff. It's showing, they say keep your users informed per time. They're telling you that they have a festival coming up and it's in 29 days. You can see the counter telling you when it's going to happen. 29 days, 10 hours more. And the more it's reading, by tomorrow, it will show 28 days. At the end of the day, it's keeping you informed. You will not say you forgot. If you're visiting this website every day and you're seeing this, you can never say you forgot because they are reminding you. So it's just like you telling your spouse or any person that you're traveling in 2 days' time. And then every day or every 30 minutes you're singing it. Do you think the person would forget it? Except the person has a lot of things, which I know is very possible. But then the communication is there. This is how you can show that you're communicating on a system. So Dogo.com is following that law, and we are giving them a pass mark for that law. So the next one is match between system and the real world. Now, this is talking about using what you know or offline, bringing it online. Now, if you look at this ball image, it's the same ball image we know everywhere. So are they following this? So it's looking like I'm going to do go.com, but once I'm done with go.com, the next one will be the one to do it. Look at this. Is this showing our normal clock? The icon they are using, this is a clock icon. It's showing clock. And once we see clock, we know that it is time. This is comment or message Once you see this icon, you know that it is message or comments. And what is this? What is this showing us? This is showing us envelope. In the olden days, right? People write letter and put it in an envelope. So this is what this is showing us, and that's what it means. So they are following this second law. If you go further, you would see where they are following it. Now, the next law is what? User control and freedom. They should help you to exist. Now, for this, I'm going to perform an action. I'm going to come to transfer. I would click on transfer. Now, while they themselves, they are not following it personally, Chrome has given us the liberty to do that. I click on transfer, right? There's a point that I can use to go back. I can click on this back link to go on Chrome. And I'm back to where I'm coming from. So that's this law. And they are following it. So what's the next law? The next...
Please,
Okay.
I mean, the law you just mentioned, I didn't get track of that.
User control and freedom, that talks about allowing your users to quickly undo an action that they've done or exist where they are coming from. And things that
Okay.
you for it is mostly close, back buttons, all of those things you see on design, cancel buttons. That's what we use for it. So if you click on, I clicked on this particular news and I want to go back. It's allowing me to go back to where I'm coming from.
I got it. I got it now.
Yeah. So that's it for this law. Now, what's the next law? Consistency and standard. Is this website consistent with other sporting websites? So let's go to LiveScores. Livescores.com. Jolly football, this thing I know. I never even knew that there's go.com. So this is LiveScore, right? And this is go.com. Are they similar some way? From this, you know that this is a news. This is mostly around a blog. It's looking like a football blog. And this is yeah. And this is looking like a live. But one thing you can notice, what can you notice? The consistency. What can
Of
you
course, they're
notice?
both talking about sports, majorly about football.
Yeah, that's one. Now, the second thing I can notice is in their color.
Okay.
Can you see that? The color for...
I mean, the black background.
Yes, still black background. And then they still have this orange. Even these ones, you can see that it's orange that they are using here. If you come here, they are still using orange here. But a different shade of orange. But then can we say this is consistent? Yes. Because if I go to another, is there any other football platform that aside these two that we can check?
I know of one. It is called SofaScore. SOFA, then score.
SOFA, then score.
Yes.
Can you see something? Same dark mode, but different variation. And we can still see this orange here.
Okay.
It's not downloading. So what this is telling you is if you're designing a football app or you're trying to design something around betting, you have to make do of dark mode. So we can boldly say go.com is following consistency and standard. Yeah, when I mean dark mode, it's not dark mode, right? You can see that this is not dark. There are other websites that if I visit, they are not dark. But you see football, I've opened 3 football sites and you notice that they are all dark. Like their kind of design is the dark variation. They use dark backgrounds. Not every website will Michael. So what I'm trying to talk about is consistency in the side of football. We've opened 3 football sites and they all came with dark variation. And this has nothing to do with my system because if it's my system, if I open Jumia, it's also supposed to be dark. But then if I open Jumia, you notice that Jumia is light. You can see it. But the 3 football sites I've opened, they are all dark. So this means that if you're trying to design something for football or sporting, you have to make do of dark because of consistency. You have any question?
Yes, I have one.
Okay.
Can we safely say that when one wants to do whatever kind of or whatever form of design, it is important to do case study of the existing ones?
Yes, it's very important. That's the next thing we'll talk about after this. That's competitive
Okay.
analysis. Is it yeah, competitive analysis, but I'm thinking if we should do research before that, because the truth is, like one of the UX laws that we did on Wednesday states that users are perceiving your website to act the way their other websites is acting. So you already know that you need to be consistent. Like you need to follow the pattern. We call it industry trend and pattern. So you have to look at other websites, know what they've done, what is obtainable, and then what they are doing wrongly. And you can now use that to fix yours to make it better. All right, so let's go back to our go.com. We are still looking at go.com, using heuristic principle to check it out. So that's for that one. Next one is error prevention, good error messages. So now what you need to note is we would not be able to check this. You know why? Now, for you to be able to check this particular one, you have to interact. So from today, right, till the end of this boot camp, I am challenging us, or I'm giving us a task to at least look at one website, one mobile app per day. So when I mean look at it, I'm not saying you should download it and just see everything is. Look at it, try to perform a task that they are using. So let's say, for instance, this sports website we went to, right? If there's a part to what's it called, to bet for games. Okay, there's no part to bet for games. This is so I cannot recommend anyone. E-commerce, fintech, housing tech. That's if we have any of that. Food tech. So you can decide to open Jumia Food or Child Deck and try to order food, but don't put your card. Just try to see their process. Know the different screens that they have. You can decide to then look for search. So once you go to the app and you say search, once you click on something to search, you can see how the flow is. So what this is going to help you do is to help you know how different apps work, or what are the consistent way of doing a thing. Now, when I say design search feature, a search feature is the same everywhere. And Jumia Food is leaving Nigeria, but the app will not leave now. The app will still be there. By the time you keep doing this, right, if they say design a search feature, you just know how to design it immediately. Like you will quickly know how to design it without stress and all of that. So for the next one, error messages, we might not be able to get it because we are not performing any action. Recognition rather than recall. Can I recognize where everything is? Live scores. Yeah, I can see where live score is, which people are playing today. So live scores. If you come to live score, you get to see it. It's the same way. You see Chelsea will lose tomorrow. So you'd see realize that they know they sell. Okay, so I think their business model is really not working for Nigerian market, because or is it that they are not even improving? Because most people prefer now to use Child Deck, and Child Deck is Jumia Food is older than Child Deck. See, Jumia Food has a lot of errors, right? If you've used them before, you notice that sometimes you order and you will never get the food. Like you will never get it, especially when it's raining. Just forget them. But Chowdeck, they are very reliable. That if you order, you would see it. If they tell you 30 minutes, you see it. But Jumia. So I think all of those things made them lose their customers. So, and the whole essence of building a product is for you to have customers. If you don't have customers, there's no need. So I think that's why they are shutting down. So for this flexibility and efficiency of use, shortcuts, I can't say that. I can't say if they are using that one because I'm not interacting with the system. And minimalist design, is their design simple and fine? Yes, it is. Simple and fine. Very simple. It's simple and it's fine. Help users do this, do this. We won't be able to see this. So first tax for the day, right? Look at any website of your choice. Any website of your choice. Try to interact with it. When I mean interact with it, I'm not saying just open it like the way I opened it. Sign up. Do anything you want to do with it. This one you're submitting it, right? You'll be submitting it next week. Monday. Yeah, I think Monday is fine. So you look at any website of your choice, any website. I'm not telling you the website, anyone you feel like. Interact with the system, then look at these laws. So first off, let me send the link of this class so that you can also read up at your own convenience. So you look at these websites, and then what you get to do from these websites is you would get to you get to interact with it, look at the laws, then anywhere you feel like they are following the law, take a screenshot and write a simple content around it. Should I show us a sample?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think I
Yes.
have samples of previous work. So let me show us. So this is a sample of what I'm expecting us to do. You go to any website of your choice, and like you can see, this is heuristic principle design to drinks.com. This is the website. So this is what I want you to do. You tell me the website on top, and then you would now start using that law to judge it. This website seems to be uncompleted, but I will list some field principles. Now, this one, you're not listing just field one, you're listing plus one, the followed. Now, the first one is, let me see, this person did not list it according to the laws. So let me check for another one. Yeah, so this person used Glovo. Now you can see this using the first principle, which is visibility of system status. As a user, this app shows that. So I'm not on the group chat, and that's a PDF document, like I said. So I would send it to the organizers today so that you can get it. Now, I say using these first principles, right? That's the visibility of system status. There's no appropriate feedback. So when she interacted with the system, she noticed that they did not give her feedback on what is happening. So that means they are not following this law. Now, if she went to the second one, using the third principle, there's no user control and freedom. This is also an incomplete work. So I'm expecting a very complete work. Let me see if I can see someone that did something complete. I'm just opening based on what I can see here. Okay, yeah, look at it. So for anywhere you feel like they are using it, this is for Jumia. User control and freedom. There is no back icon. That means you can't go back once you're on Jumia website. Consistency and standard. The back icon should not be there. You can see that it's not following practice, right? System status, visibility of, okay, Basirat.
Okay, so you mentioned now that that's for this person that you were trying to explain what they did, and the person noted that there is no back the back icon for us to be able to go back. Of which, if we are using Chrome or whichever site we are using to enter, that that one can give us the option of going to using the back arrow to go back. So are
Yes.
we saying that because Jumia does not have it, we highlight it there that it does not have, or don't I don't get it.
Oh, okay.
Just
So now for websites, right? For websites, they don't have it, but Chrome has already given us that. So if they still put it on their own, it's repetition. It's repetition. But if on their mobile app you don't see it, then you know that they don't have it. You get. So this person, I understand, this is an assignment and she just wanted to put it. Now you notice one thing Jumia did. There's a back button or whether there's a forward button, but you can see where they went to put it. They put it here, and that's because they can't still put it here. So now I don't even know. Sometimes the response I give here, they don't have it, but on Chrome you can actually do it. So I used to use their website, their mobile app to judge this particular part. Because if it's not on their mobile app, I think it's on their mobile app. If you go to Jumia, you see the back button on their mobile app. So that means if it's on the mobile app, it's also on the web. Just that they can't put it because Chrome already allowed us to go back and all of that. You get Basira?
yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. So this is what I'm expecting, right? You take a screenshot of the parts and use the laws, the ones they are following, and then you just tell me why you feel like they are not following it. So this is clear, right?
Yes.
Just know that it's not a simple task, so it's not something that you just go and look and come back. You would have to interact with it, and to interact with the system very well, you might spend at least 2 hours on it or 3 hours, depending on the kind of things you want to do, because you're looking for different errors and you're looking for different things that is making their system good or that is not making their system good. All right, so any other question? Yes, on Google Docs. Google Docs is the best place to do that. So let me check something. All right, so we've done UX, we've done UI, we've done similarities between UX and UI. We've talked about how UI and UX work. We've talked about all of this. I guess we now know this. So just forget the weeks, right? So we've talked about heuristic principles. We've talked about the UX laws, and we've talked about the importance of these laws, why is it very important, and then we've talked about how to apply it to our everyday life. So the next thing we'll get to talk about now is the design thinking process. So that's what we'll be looking at now. All right, so let me open this. I think I would prefer to use this for the design thinking process. Okay, so we'll be looking at the design thinking process, right? So what is the design thinking process? The design thinking process is the process we use to break down complex problem into simpler form. So it's basically us breaking down complex problem into simple form. So that's what a design thinking process is. It is an approach, right? Now, one thing we need to note is in school, right, there's a part you get to that you get to do what we call your final year project. Now, the whole concept of your final year project is you have to be able to solve a real life project or solve a real time project with what you've learned in school. That's the whole aim. And now we have different frameworks, right, that we use. I know that people that went to polytechnics, your research report is normally I think 4 chapters. Yeah, 4 chapters. Why those that went to university, it's mostly 5 chapters. I don't know if I'm sure. Is anybody that went to a polytechnic here? Okay, so I don't think there's anybody. So this is the design thinking process. It's mostly a 5-step process that we use. Okay, you went to a poly, but you cannot remember. Is okay that you can't remember because it's been a while. All right, so the design thinking process is a framework that we use to solve problems. And what is the goal of this design thinking process is for us to be able to understand the problem and provide solution to this problem. So it involves you around questioning, understanding, researching the people, the products, or the services designed for. So the key thing you're doing in the design thinking process is you talking about the people. So you can use this process, right, to achieve different tasks. It will help you to identify your target audience. It's going to help you question the problem. It's going to help you question the assumption, and it's going to help you question the implications. So you would reframe design problems in a user-centered way so that you ideate with an open mind and adopt prototyping and all of that. So now what is the 5 stage of the design thinking process? We're going to talk about them one after the other. The first stage is what we call the empathizing phase. Now, what is the empathizing phase? This is the most important aspect of your whole design, right? If you get this stage very well, you would get all other parts very well. Now, what you're doing in this particular stage is you being able to identify the problem, or you're able to understand and share another person's expression. So like the word empathy is more like you trying to see things from the person's perspective. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to now share in their needs, their motivations, and all of that. What empathy would help you do is it's going to help you understand your users very well. You're also going to understand their frustrations. You're also going to understand their hopes, their fears, their limitation, their reasoning, their goals, right? This is what is going to help you do. Just like Michael said, in product design, right, we are focused on our users. So everything you're doing, the truth is you might already be bored because you've not even started opening Figma. So I taught a class in old school that's dev career. Now for dev career, it's a 6 months program, but I'll tell you that for the first 3 months, where we've not even opened Figma because of how complex, right? To understand the same way UX is important, that's the same way UI is important. And if you don't get it, if you don't get your UX well, your UI would just be fine and it's not solving a problem. So it would be like a fine girl with dumb brain. You get so So just how will I call it? Empathize with me, right? Because we are going to be doing this, but I'm looking at how we are going to wrap up everything about talking, hopefully by Monday, although it's not really feasible. Everything talking by Monday. So I'm also going to be a bit fast. But then before I become a bit fast, I want to hear from us. Do you think that we should be fast about this so that we can get to practicals, or we can get to when we start designing, or we should take it the pace where we can understand both same level? Okay, guys, I want your opinion on this. Remember that you are the people, you are the receiving side. So your wish, my command. All right, so we need the practical more, please. So the truth is, if you don't understand this, you will not understand the practical totally. If you don't get to understand this, the practical will just be like you. Because by the time you get to Figma, you start asking questions like, what are you designing? What are you going to design? And I don't want that kind of situation. I want you to be able to, without this, you would not be able to know what you want to design, Seth. It's beyond this. I can teach you the truth is I can teach you Figma today. I can open Figma today, and then tomorrow you now start asking me if I design this screen, what next? What next? You see that what next? If you understand this, you'll be able to figure it out yourself. All right, so let's continue. So the empathizing phase, right, is the phase where you get to understand your users very well. You get to understand them. Yeah, you get to understand your users, and you get to interpret what they are feeling to ensure that you solve something for them. Now, one thing you need to note is empathy is not pity, it's not sympathy. You know, because you're pitying a set of people, go and build something that they can't pay for. That's not empathy. It's not because you're pitying people that are lazy because they don't know how to wash their clothes. You now start giving out free washing machine. No, that's not it. Empathy is more like you trying to understand their pain points, understand where they are coming from. You're trying to put yourself in their shoes and all of that. One thing you need to note is users will not always tell you what they want. You will be the one that would actually develop it. You'll be the one to imagine it. You would use emotional sensitivity and creativity to be able to understand what exactly your users want, so that you can really understand them and build something that they want. Now, if you look at this diagram, right, you would understand that empathy is very important. Can you see where UX is lying? UX is lying at the center of everything, at the center of the business, at the center of technology, and at the center of human value. What are the human values we know about? Usability, delight, accessibility. For usability is how well people can use it, how easy it is for people to use it. Accessibility, can I use it even if I have short-sightedness? Can I use it even if I am blind? And all of those things, right? So you get to think about it. We have the different parameters. We have desirability. How do people want it? Are people craving for it? Feasibility, visibility. All of these parameters are very important for you to be able to create all of that. So what are the things you get to deliver during the empathizing phase? Now, the empathizing phase, we have different things that you will get to deliver. So after the empathizing phase, when we get to research, right? This is we just explaining it. When we get to once we start conducting research, we'll start doing all of these things. Number one of it is the user persona. I've talked about user persona one week in class, where I said the user persona is the fictional representation of your users. So you're creating a profile for your users, a fictional profile. Now, you're using it to communicate and summarize your research. So after conducting a research, right? Let's say you're conducting a research for food delivery and what you can do, and you've done all of those things that you need to do. You started your research method. Now, the next thing is to create a persona. So the persona can be Boma. Boma is a freelancer, or Boma is a full-time worker, and she doesn't have time 9 to 6. She only has time from 6 o'clock to like 9 p.m. every day, and all of those things. So what your persona is going to be focusing on is going to be focusing on the goals, the characteristics of the individual. Like, it's going to focus on all of these things. Now, the next thing is the empathy map. The empathy map, right, is a graphical tool that would help you to imagine things from your user's perspective. So what are you're going to be asking some questions from the user's perspective, that if they are trying to do something, and then you now get to think of the best response that you would get to give for it. So let's say, for instance, for user persona, you're thinking about what they are thinking and what they are feeling. So their major occupation. Um, I could not join. Okay. Okay, so for user persona, right, empathy map now, we are talking about what users see, what they hear, what they say, what they do. So all of this. So before I continue, right, I want to show us something so that you would also get to understand, or also get to see where it is. Okay, so you get to understand how all of this is very important. So let me go to Behance. So sorry about this. I'm looking for something. I want to show us something. So I'm coming. I'm trying to look for it. So if I can't see it, I would have to look for a new one. All right, so I can't see it. Now, this is it, right? This is Behance. And I'm going to look for what we call. Yes, you need to, Michael. You need to, but the reason why I did not mention it is just to give it till we start design, then I'll show us how to create it. So let me see UI UX case study. All right, so let's look at this case study, right? Are they speaking English here? Okay, they're not speaking. Can you share what I want to see? All right, so now let's look at this, right? This is what at the end of the day you're expected to achieve. Like at the end of this whole program, this is what you're expected to achieve. Now you can see that this is an app for people to be able to learn. It's an app for learning. About this project, you can see for case study, these are the things she used. Then for UI, these are the things she used. Now, let's go to the question you asked, if it's very important that you get to analyze your competitors. Yes, very important. You can see how she did her competitive analysis and the score she gave. And if we go further, you see our research. That's what we are doing. Research. We'll get to this part, but she did not really mention. Oh, I need an app that showed everything that I need to see from start to finish. I think this would. Okay, yeah. So can you see the steps that we are in currently? We are in this step. That's the design thinking process, where you are thinking, you're doing all of the define. Now in the define stage, you see that we've talked about user persona, it's here, user journey map, competitive analysis, we'll get to talk about it. So the empathize, you're seeing it. This person missed it. Then this is supposed to come here, this is supposed to come here, and all of that. Then you can see all of this for the empathizing phase. You can see when he got to interview, the interview questions that he asked, the survey, this is the data from the response the person has gotten through. And then you can see the solution and all of this. And if we now come to empathy map, what I was talking about now, you can see the empathy map, what the user thinks and feel. You can see all of them here. What the user is hearing, you can see it. What the user is seeing, what the user says or do, all of that here. And then the pain and the gain. Can you see it? And then when we come to user story, you get to see a user story here. 2, 3 different user stories or 4. Then user persona that we talked about, you can still see how this is done. Competitive analysis, same thing, we'll get to it. You can see how this competitive analysis is done. So at the end of the day, right, you get to realize that what we are doing is we are not slowing the process. It's just we following due process. You can see the user flow. Can you notice that from all of this, aside these regular things, there's no place where the person has actually started designing. We've not started designing anything. We're just doing all of this then. This is where we now start designing, where the practical comes in. So you've seen how we'll be able to do all of this. So it is step by step, right? It is step by step. So we are just going to move with the flow. All right, so we've talked as user persona. Note that we are going to create a user persona. We're going to do the practical of a user persona. And then for the empathy map, what the user thinks and feel, what they see, and what they hear. You get to think about what is important to the user, what is their environment like, who influences them and how, and then their behavior. Then you talk about their fears and their gains. Now, the next one is a quantitative survey, where you get to send out a quantitative kind of questions for your users to be able to, on the topic you're doing, so that you can gather data from them and all of that. So that's the first stage of the design thinking process. That's the empathizing phase. Now, we'll now move towards the next phase, which is the define phase. Now, the define phase is where we now get to connect the dots from the empathizing phase. What this means is you've observed your users. Now you're trying to now know the core problem that you've identified from their pain. So before there was a problem, right? But then you don't even know what the problem is about. In our last class, we used an example of me being lazy and how I don't do house chores, right? And then I need a solution that can help me to wash my clothes. Now that particular solution, you will now get to think of how it's going to work. Is there a question for me? Okay, so Michael, you can share, right? Share your idea before we continue. Hello, Michael. If would have something. All right, so no wahala, we would get to do it. So like I said, okay, like I said, right, you don't really know the problem from the first stage. The example, that's problem that I told us to about me being lazy and all of that. Now, I really don't know what I want. I really don't know if it's washing machine I want or I want an in-house staff. I don't know exactly what I want. But then when you now research by asking me questions during the empathizing phase, you now get to do it. Now, what are the things that we're expecting from this particular defining phase? We are expecting the problem statement. Now, you can now define what exactly the problem is. If we look at this particular design, right? If you look at this particular case study, you can see a problem statement here. This is a problem statement. Okay, so something like this, summarizing the problem, summarizing what you want to build as a simple something for people to easily look at. Oh, the idea we are talking about is even here. A better alternative to wash your clothes. Can you see it? This is a problem. Wash is a digital device that allows professionals to easily locate laundries and home cleaners around them. What is the problem? Tech professionals don't have time. You can see that I don't even know how I did just opened, right? Yes, it was done in Figma. The problem, you can see the goal and all of that. Then if you move further, you'd see the design process, what we are talking about right now. Then the user research, the insights, the rules, the interviews, the user persona, user flow, sketches, style guide, wireframes, then the design itself, sign-ups, location, home screen. Yeah, this is a very nice design. Like, this is very nice. All right, so let's continue. So this is where you now write a formal problem statement to address what you're trying to do. What does a problem solve? What is the solution? So you get to also include your solution in the problem statement. And then we have what we call the competitive analysis report, where you now outline the strengths and weakness of your competitors. Very important. You're now comparing them and knowing what they are doing right and what they are not doing right. So you get to describe your own business, also your target. So you get to do all of this, the competitive analysis part. And then we get to the third phase of your design process, which is the ideation phase. Notion of Behance. So depending on you, right? For me, Behance is the recognized one. Notion also is very good. At the end of the day, sometimes your portfolio cannot even be Behance or Notion. You can decide to use or a website to do your portfolio and all of that. So no one is better. It's just based on what you can use. Now for the ideation phase, right? Ideation phase is the phase where you now come up with different ideas. In this stage, what are you mostly doing? You're brainstorming. You're brainstorming with people to know to understand their own points too, and then they give you ideas on what you want to also do. So it can be families, it can be different people. Now, when you are ideating, right, there are different things you can do, or there are different ways to ideate. We have what we call the mind mapping. Now, the mind mapping is a visual diagram, right? What you're doing this is you're using a diagram to represent words, tasks, ideas that are associated to the problem. So let's say, for instance, you have house laundry as the problem, right? And then you're including solutions like laundryman, an app. You see that thing that we did that day? That's what we call mind mapping, where we're giving different solutions to just one problem. So you get to draw out all of these things. You write them, you write all of the solutions that comes to your head, and then you brainstorm. You can use colors to differentiate them and all of that. And then you can deliver sketches in the ideation phase, where you get to now sketch what you're trying to expect in it. And another thing you get to deliver is what we call the user flow. Well, now, what is the user flow? User flow is basically the ways or the path a user would follow to complete a certain task. So you are now trying to draw out all of those things. You say, okay, for food delivery, right? A user needs to buy food. The first step is the user needs to come to the app, see the search for different food, or if the person is using a restaurant base, search for the restaurant you want to eat from. Then once you open the restaurant, you now search for the food that you want to eat, right? And move on to all these things are basically under design thinking. Yes, design thinking as a framework, yeah. How you used to solve your problem. So you get to now start thinking of how a user will complete a particular task. Now this flow now is what you now use to get the action for your design. So they are very helpful. And then we have what we call the user story, or sometimes called user case or use case. Now, this is describing how users will perform tasks on your website. So it can be as a user, or as a wash user. I want to be able to order for laundry guys so that I can wash my clothes. So there is what we use for user story. It is called it's like you get to always put this in your head. It is as a dash. So that dash means you now put anything you want to put. The next step of it is I want to dash. What do you want to do? Then the final thing, that's your goal. What is your goal that you want to achieve? Okay, Abdul, welcome. So we when did you join? Just today. So the link for the previous class will be sent, and then you watch it. And if you have any question, you can then ask the question there. So even this link will be sent today and all of that. So we have where you get to, like I said, this is how a user story is crafted. There's always the as a, and then as a dash, you put what you are, your personality, as a pet lover, as a writer, as a student, as anything, depending on your target audience. The next one is I want to dash. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Then that's the goal, so that you'll be able to do that and that. So that's how a user story is crafted. And then we have the storyboard. The storyboard, it's you trying to write a story around your idea. And we also have what we call the mood board. The mood board is like the words you use to the artistic direction of a project. So you can have collection of images, collection of fonts, collection of different things that serves as your inspiration for your design. So that's mood board. And then the fourth stage of the design thinking process is the prototyping phase. Now, this is the phase where you now start designing the version of the product. You now start designing. So you see all of this stage that we've been doing. What we'll be doing for the coming weeks will be we'll be moving from each of these stage. We'll start with the research. We get our research data. We design user persona. We design user empathy map, we design all of those things. And then before we now get to Figma to design, we'll now start wireframing, where you get to do the low fidelity part of it, or the high fidelity, where you include the colors and make it stay there. And then the last test, or the last stage of the design thinking process, is what we call the testing phase. Now, in the testing phase, right, this is the phase where you get to test out your product to developers, you get to put it out to you send your product to developers, you get to send your product to your real users for them to test, to know if you've achieved what you want to achieve, if what you want to achieve is already done. So what are the things you get out in this stage? You get out things like usability report, where you show it's a document that you get to bring out to say, okay, this product is usable and it's not usable. Then we have the analytic report, where you get to use different metrics to check if you've achieved the goal of your product. So what is, in summary, the design thinking process is something that is very important. You start from the empathizing phase, knowing about your users. That's how we solve complex problems. We start by knowing our users, understanding them, and then we move towards, after understanding them, we move towards the defining stage, where we get to define the actual problem and get in some deliverables. And then we move to the ideation phase, where we gather different ideas on our products. All the ideas we're able to see, we get to gather them, and then we now move to the prototyping phase, where we get to draw out the plan of the app. I mean the plan, the pictures, what is in our head of the app, and then the testing phase, where you give it out for them to test it. Now, one thing you need to note in all of this process is it's an iterative kind of way. So it's not something that you do and you end. If you design and you give it out for testing and your users have issues with it, you would always have to come back to you always have to come back, right, to help your users, or you always have to come back to be able to do the corrections that they give to you using the same process. So we are done covering the design thinking process. Is there any question? Is there any question? Guys, if there's any question, ask. So what have we talked about today? I want somebody to give us a recap of what we've said so far, if there's no question. Yes, so very thorough. You see, you have to do a lot of thinking. Now, for me, this is the most hardest part, right? For you to be able to do all of these things, this whole thinking. Now, note something, guys. One thing you need to note. Yes, UI is the bone of it. UI is the what's it called? So just like you building a house, right? UX is the background. UX is the whole plan. What's that thing that they call it? The plan of the building. Then UI is just like the finishing part, the furnishing and all of that. You see, till the building of the house to where you include POP. That's like the UI, the UX, right? Then when you now start including colors, painting, doing interior deco and all of those things, you're now getting to the UX part. So is there any question?
I don't have a question, but I guess we'll be getting the recording and also the slides right after the class.
Yes. So this
Okay.
one, this is going to take a whole lot of time. You know why? This is not a slide. This is a website. So I'm going to extract it and send this particular one. So I have to copy all of these things as it is like this and put it on Google Sheets. Google Docs, so that you can do it. Competitive analysis is also included. Yes. it is. It is under the empathizing phase.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So we'll talk about one last thing before we get to research, right? Reason because I want you to be able to
Hello.
understand. Hello?
Sorry, the competitive analysis, is it under the empathizing phase or the ideation stage?
So competitive analysis, right, is under the research and the idea empathizing phase. Now you know that in the empathizing phase, what you're trying to do is gather knowledge about your users. Yes, gather knowledge about your users. Oh, okay, guys. That's true. This is 11:03. So we'll come back by 11:33. So let's go on break and come back by 11:33. Okay, can you see my screen? All right, welcome back. So we're talking about understanding your users, right? We've talked about design thinking process, and then now we're talking about, can you guys hear me? Okay, looks like nobody can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. Thank you, Nuruddin. All right, so we're talking about understanding your users, and we are going to look at what we call the human-centered design. So what is human-centered design or user-centered design? It is just an approach that you use to create designs that are based on based on human perspective. So how does it work in the real world? We have three phases of human-centered design. The first one is the inspiration, and the second one is the ideation, and then the implementation. So let's look at each of them. So for the inspiration, right, let's say you have a design challenge that you want to embark on. Now that is the first step. You now get to ask questions like, how do you get started? How do I conduct interview? How do I stay human-centered? And then you get to the next phase, that's the ideation phase. You have how do I interpret what I have learned? How do I turn my insights into ideas? Then how do I make a prototype? Then for the implementation, you're talking about how do I make my concept real? How do I assess if it's working? And how do I plan for sustainability? If you check all of these things, you can see diverge, converge, that is going up and down. Now, in this stage, right, what you're required to do is you have to engage your target audience directly to know their points and what you want them to exactly do for you. So we're not really going to spend much time on this because it's basically what we've been talking from the onset, human-centered design, and how to go about it. So we'll quickly move further to now talk about user research. All right, so Okay, so we'll quickly dive into user research. So what exactly is user research? Remember that it's one of the things that you get to do in the advertising phase for you to understand your users. So what exactly is user research? User research is just a way that you get to understand your users in order to gather insights from them. So basically what you're doing in this particular phase is you're trying to look at your users and you're trying to gain insights from them. You're trying to understand their pain point. You're trying to understand what it is about them that you can solve and all of that. So it's just the way you investigate into your users. It is actually a very thorough process because we have two types of research. So you don't just do one type of research. We have what we call the qualitative and the quantitative research. Now, when you're talking about the qualitative research, right, you're dealing with descriptive data. You're dealing with how people think, how they feel. You're trying to find out their opinions, their problems. You're learning in depth about them when you talk about quality. So just the way you know of quality, right? Quality has to do with how so let me use dictionary, right? Let me use Google Dictionary. Quality has to do with the standard of something, how standard it is. So that's what qualitative research is all about. And then when we talk about quantitative research on the other hand, we're talking about numerical data. So for most companies, right, or you notice that for most companies, they believe in the number of people. When you hear the number of people using your products, that's the whole idea around most of these companies trying to reduce the quality and reduce the quality, reduce the price so that they'll have more people. But at the end of the day, if I go to buy seasoning cubes in the market, right? I can see Maggi, I can see None, I can see Star. I can see all of these products, but the human head, the human mentality, the first thing you would want to go for is you would want to check the price and ask how much is it? Is it how much is this? 20,000 naira. Then you get through. If it's 20K, for instance, I'm using fictional figure. If it's 20K, you will now get to say, okay, you're buying it. You now compare prices with all other ones and then go for the one that is cheaper. So that's for quantitative kind of research. You're doing more, you're thinking about the statistics of people, the number of people that are using it. So it's more data collection. So what are you looking at in user research? You're trying to gather who are your users. So your questions should have these people in line. Who are your users? What are their needs? What are their wants? How do they currently do things and how would they like to do things? So for this now, like, we can try to task ourselves. So in one of my class, someone was asking me, how do you come up with problems or how do you solve something? So the best way to be able to answer all of these questions is if you know how they currently do it. Now let's take for instance, right? I want to build an e-commerce shop or an e-marketplace. Now, if we want to okay, so let me throw this to the house, right? How do they do it normally in the market? If you want to start a foodstuff business, for instance, how do you go about it? You want to be based in the market. So try to answer these questions without using what's it called internet, without trying to think of the internet. Just normally, you want to start selling crayfish in the market. How do you go about it?
Okay, can I try?
Yeah, you can.
I think first off, at least one need to be sure that there is enough capital for you to be able to like kind of start the business. Then you also want to know where you can get the product at cheaper rates, like maybe on a larger scale, since one is going to be reselling. Then another thing is probably you want to speak with people that have been in the business before, the challenges, how they store, and other basic things. Then getting a store or stall in the market too. I think you want to make inquiries about that one too, so that you always want to work within your budget. I think that's what I can think of.
Oh, okay.
Abi?
Yeah, sure, that's it. So now if we want to relate it, right, after you do all of this planning, the next step is for you to get a shop. And how do you get a shop? You get to go to the shop owner, or if it's a government-owned market, you get to first of all ensure that you get a shop. And then when you get a shop, the next thing you do is you get to start bringing in your goods. That's arranging your goods, right? To where they are and all of these things. And then the next thing is for you to start making sales. So if you want to digitalize all of these things, very simple. First step is the same way your users will look for a store, a shop, or a store. That's the same way they have to create an account. That's an online store. They'll create an account. Then once they are done creating their account, the next thing will be for them to upload their goods, right? For them to upload their goods. Then once they upload their goods, they've uploaded it successfully. The next thing is for them to maybe have a link, or you can now go to their shop to view them. That's for the market people. Then as a user, if you want to buy, the first thing you need to do is to go to the market or where you need to buy. And then you see several shops and you get to enter the shop that you want to buy. Sometimes you might go around pricing different people. Once you're done pricing and you've gotten the real price that you want to do, you can now come back to now say, okay, I've gotten the price that I want to do, and this is where I am going to buy it. So that's the same situation on how to buy. So if it's online, that's market, normal market. If it's online, you come to the online shop. Let's say Jumia. Let's use Jumia, for instance. You come to Jumia online shop and you see different things. What can you see? You can see different products that you can buy. So let me see. I want to buy Wi-Fi dongle for TV. So let me see, this is what I want to buy, right? For TV, yeah, I want to buy this. Now, I'll first of all select. You can see that on Jumia, what I do is I'll look at different shop. This is a shop. This is a shop, and this is another shop. This is another shop. And I'll get to look at all of the different shops. So once I'm done and I like what I see here, I'll just get to buy it. So that's a way that you can buy on Jumia shop or all of those other online shop. So you get to, like I said, know who your users are, what are their needs. My users are basically Gen Zs that don't like going out for an e-commerce shop. What are their needs? They need to buy goods that they see online. What do they want? They want to be able to get all of these things at ease without getting to stress themselves. How do they currently do it? How they currently do it is that they go to how they currently do it. They go to different platforms. So they go to the market. Platform is just entering my head. How do they currently do it? They go to the market, then they see what they want to buy and they buy it. So how would they like to do it? Stay in their houses and get to buy it at their comfort. Now, what is the whole purpose of user research? If you don't know, I believe that if you don't know the purpose of a thing, right, you might end up not doing it or end up seeing it as something minor. Now, one of it is it will help you to design better products. Now, the good thing about it is you know that the end goal in your head is always to design something for your users. So that's the goal, to create product that people want. So user research will make you create product that they want. So imagine me asking Basira, what do you want? And she tells me what she wants. It will be very easy for me to solve it, right? But then imagine I don't ask her what she wants and I go to give her so many things. and I go to give her so many things at the same time, it will be very difficult because I don't really know what she wants. I'm just assuming that she might want this. So it will help you to design better products, and it will help you to keep your user story in check. Now, user research is also going to save you money. It's going to save you time and money. So with user research, you will get to know if a product is going to make it in the market. The user research is going to make you save time. If you research something, so let's say, for instance, the time and effort you take to go and do surprise for someone. Let's say the person doesn't like surprise, right? We know different people that don't like surprise, and you've already spent time, spent money to do the surprise, and the person doesn't appreciate it. You get upset, right? It's the same thing. You want to build a product, and the people that are using your products are humans, and then you're done building the products and they don't like it. You'll be devastated, you'll be angry, you'll be all of those things. So for you to save all of those time and effort, it is better that you design from real insight and facts and not just guesswork. So I've seen different products come out and fail. There are the particular products that came out a particular time. I think, is it Abeg? I don't know if you've heard of Abeg again. So the whole concept of Abeg is you want to beg money and all of that. And I don't know from the perspective that people have other ways they are doing it. You don't ask people, you need to ask people how okay, so you need to ask people what they want. You don't assume that they want it and then go and give them. At the end of the day, they are disappointed, you are disappointed, and all of that. So that's one importance of user research. Now, the next one is user research can be done on a budget. It means that you can actually have a budget for user research. The money that you want to spend, you can decide to say, okay, do you want to use social amount of money to do this? And then you would end up using that amount of money. Now, survey is getting old, right? But we still use survey. You can ask people questions and get to answer it. Now, how do you plan for user research? There's what we call user research plan. So that's what we'll go into now. So you notice that I'm not using, what's it called? I'm not using a slide, I'm going online. And this is to tell you that you can also go online to get anything you want to get. The next topic we're talking about is a user research plan. Now, what is a user research plan? A user research plan is just you trying to gather everything that you want for your research. It's a plan, like a proper documentation of what you want to achieve from your research. Now, the first thing to do when you're creating a user research plan is you need to have an objective. You need to have a goal. You need to tell yourself, you need to outline the reasons why you're conducting a user research in the first place. You can't just come and start conducting a research without a reason. Now, I want to conduct a research on food delivery. What are my objectives? My objective is to find out how many persons I would be willing to use food delivery app. I would have more research objective outlined there. But the first step is for you to get your user research objective. Now, objective can be different from different problems. It can be that these are different examples of objective. You want to understand how users are currently tracking orders on the website, or how users are currently ordering food. You want to understand what actions customers take when they consider buying a new product or once they consider buying something new. You want to learn about your competitors and what they are offering. That is another objective. And then maybe you want to evaluate pain points. These are different objectives that would help you. Now, you also need to get your success metrics. What information are you trying to collect about users? So if you collect it, would you know if you've done it? You also need to know the kind of document you would use and all of that. So the next thing after for user research plan, after you're done with your research objective, right? Okay, the first one that we missed is you need to talk about your user research background. You need to talk about the whole problem, the background, the purpose of this study is to understand this and that, how this is happening and why this is not happening. So you have to have your background first. After your background, you need to get your objectives. And then after your objective, you need to now know your research scope and focus area. So your research scope is what you get to outline what you want to focus on, the kind of questions you want to ask them. So questions like how do users spend their time, design questions like how easy is this app good for them, and then scenarios, you get to do all of those things. Now you have different methodology, right? You get to do all of this. Then you now get to know your participant profiles, that's your target audience. You get to also plan for them. Who are your target audience? Where are you going to get them? What are their own goals and all of these things. So you get to look at your target audience. Now the next thing is you get to include your user research timeline. Your timeline is how long is it going to occur? What are you going to do in the process? You get to say, okay, I'm going to do this in 6 weeks. I'm going to do this in 7 weeks. I'm going to do this in so and so weeks. So that's it for so the next thing I want to show us is the templates for user research plan. Okay, so now this is the template of any user research plan. Let me open the template here so that we can see the template better. So you can see the templates. You can make a copy. I'm going to send this so that you can all make a copy. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to know what decision you have to make from your user research. Why are you doing it? Then the company goals. What are the goals you're trying to achieve with your user research? So this is a plan, right? This is a plan that you use to ensure that your research is coming out well. And then you will now get to do what we call anticipated outcomes. What are you expecting at the end of the day? Now, the approach, you get to look at which method are you using. So we'll get into research methods, right? After this explaining of this thing. Research methods, what kind of method are you using? We have different types of method. We have the in-depth user interview. We have ethnographical method. We have diary studies. We get to talk about all of this. Then your study design, what kind of design are you using? Moderated or unmoderated? Is it the one that you would have to be there or not? And then we have how many people do you intend to do? That's the participant, the number of participants. Now for this, you can also include incentives. Are you going to add give them money? I don't know if you've seen some projects where you say fill this survey and get a chance to win gift cards. So if you have to put it there, so you get to include it. Then for the length, how long are you going to do it? Then everything you'll be testing, you get to put it here, images, links, and anything you'll be using for your plan, for your user research, put it here. And then your overall timeline, and you add any resources you want to add. So basically, this is a sample of a user research plan. Sorry. So let me send the link now, please. Someone should help me drop it on the chats. I mean, on your WhatsApp group, someone can help drop it on the WhatsApp group so that you can always change it to do all of those things. Now, it is very important that you are able to. So now I want to take all of these things we've talked one after the other. All right, so I want to be able to what are your research goals, right? How do you get your research goals? So your research questions should reflect, sorry guys, sorry about the noise. So your research questions and goals, you have to define this in 2 steps or 1 step. You have to be specific to know when you actually arrived at your question. So your research questions should also reflect your goals. Now, the most important thing is some people create research questions without even having a goal in their mind, without having a goal of what they want to solve. And then the why, you have to know your business goals, what your business wants to do, right? Then the how, that's the methodology you'll be using, your participants, how do you recruit them, and all of that. So now that we are done knowing the different elements or talking about the different elements you need to do, now how do you really plan a user research? So you first of all identify a problem. Now, in our last class, right, we've identified a problem. We've identified different problems. One in health tech, we're able to identify in edu tech. We're also able to identify in sports tech. Then we're able to identify around what's the last one? Is it Paddy Tech? I've forgotten the name of the last one, but we're able to identify issues. All right, sure. I'm going to craft that and send. So I'm going to do that this weekend. So by Monday, we should get all the things that you want ready. So for research goals, right, you now get to state what you're trying to achieve. So now, Basira, if I ask you, right, for the edutech, for the health tech, right, that you chose, what are your research goals and what are the challenges you were able to, okay, you've talked about the challenges. Now, what are your research goals? Or what are your goals that is making you want to go into that? Okay, so before you talk about your research goals, okay, sorry, before you talk about your research goals, right? These are questions you need to ask yourself. Once you're able to answer these questions, then you can identify your research goal. And one of the questions is, what do you want to know? Now, what is motivating you in this? How would the users use it? What is motivating your users? What are their current pain points? Then you now need to also ask yourself what you don't know. What don't I know? Why are these people making noises? I've seen. So you get to know what don't I know? What is the answer that you don't know to the question? Then how would you know if you've been able to solve it, or how would you know if you've achieved that? And then what company goals is this supporting? Where are you in the development process? What decision would this research help you do? And then what are the expected outcomes? If you're able to summarize all of these questions, you can get your research goals. So sorry for stopping you. So now what is your goal for embarking in the idea that you want to embark on?
Okay, I would say my overall goal is just to make getting in touch with a specialist easier for my users, in the sense that, and also for the fact that for people that are relocating to a new place, and once they know that there is an app that does this particular thing, so they can always look forward to, oh, I know that when I'm here, I can always go to this app and check and know the specialists that are going to be around the new area that I'm relocating to. Then another thing would be, I've really not thought of it over. I'm just I I I I think I think the overall goal is just to then also, and another thing would be that it also serve as an avenue for those specialists to easily refer other patients that they know that this particular condition that the patient brought is actually not in their feed, they can easily refer that there is so in this particular place. So you can always, because they too they have access to the information, so they can always check. Let me just go to the app and check. Oh, this is the issue. Okay, I know this specialist in this is also address. You can always go there, and that's what I can think of now. I don't know. I've not really gone through this thing that you said, so but I think I'll need to sit down and go through it one by one, and but in simpler terms, yeah, that's just it for me.
Okay. All right. So you can see that the first thing is to know the goals. How many persons here already have a problem or where you're going to work in? I think I need to get that data. Apart from those joining you, I know Basira is in EdTech. I know that he's not here. So you can just write down the field that you want to do. So Basira EdTech, so just put your name and then the kind of this thing you want to do. Let's use 5 minutes to do that.
Sorry, which text should I call my own?
What's your own?
Is it social tech or what should I say?
I think it's a social tech. Now that's what we named it, social tech.
Okay.
The one where you need to look for like-minded people within your environment to learn with, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my own goal is like, if you go and visit your uncle, maybe you are visiting your uncle for maybe a month or 1.5 months, and I want to make it easy that within that 1 month or 1.5 months, it will be easy for you to connect with people that are in your field, even though that is not your permanent base, but at least you have their contact before you leave there, and from there you can make new as in new people can come into your network. So that's my own goal. I don't know if that is a goal at all.
Okay, so now the thing is, I just wanted us to okay, mechanic tech, Bolu, mechanic tech, yeah. So I can relate with this particular one. Earlier this year, I was posted to the north for NYSC, and while I was coming back here, a vehicle spoiled on the road in the middle of nowhere, and then because these drivers are people that the log that they have is the issue include like a driver. No, we are not thinking about the goals right now, right? I'm just saying you should choose a particular field. I'm not saying you should come up with the goals right now. For those of you that already know your goals, fine. So choose a particular field. There's no time. We only have 4 weeks, so
Sorry, I don't get
just
it. Feed us out. Feed us out. Sorry.
yeah.
You said we should choose a particular field. Feed us out.
You've already chose yours now. Social tech. That's what I
Okay.
mean. Health tech, med tech, mech
Okay.
tech, food tech, property tech.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just to choose a field that you want to solve the pending issue. So the other ones, I'm just teaching us about these. With after this class, then you take time to now write down your goals. So the next thing is for you to now develop your research questions. Now, one thing you need to note about your research questions, right? Your research question should be specific, it should be practical, and it should be actionable. What is specific? It should be specific enough that you know when you've arrived at your answer. Then for practical, right, it should be you should be able to find answer within the scope of the project. Look how food that they go. Exactly. So this is actually a good plan, a good path. So for practical, right, it should be you could reasonably find answer to it. You should be able to find answer based on small target audience, and then actionable. if you find answer, your team should be able to make changes based on what you found. So it's not just to find answers, right? They should be able to know when you found it and all of that. Let me check the chat. Most time, Jumia Global. Yes, exactly. They exclude mama put. All right, so let's go on. You get to search, put your research questions. Oh, okay. All right, sorry, I skipped my mind. So when that stuff happened, right, we had to, it was not my vehicle that happened to, it was a vehicle that left before time. And you know how these vehicles used to pack a lot of coppers when coming back, and the vehicle broke down on the road. So we had to stay there for almost an hour plus. And my driver was like, my driver knew cars. So that's how he had to help them until we fix that kind of thing. So it got me thinking, imagine where all of these mechanics, right? You'll be able to get a platform or an app where people can just go. Once your car should break down, you should be able to just go online, search for a mechanic that is within your vicinity, and it comes down to help you fix your car. But then there are different problems when you start your user research. That's when you get to even find out that most of these drivers that drive, that go for long distance, right, they don't know how to use phone. And some of these places don't even have internet. So just imagine being stuck in the middle of nowhere where there's no internet. What happens? Remember I said product design is beyond the app thing and all of that. It can be that your solution can be a 911 kind of solution where it's just like I dial 911 and I get people come to my rescue. I get mechanics come to my rescue. So when you start doing it right, Bolu, you get to see different aspects on how you can solve it and all of that. But it's a very good idea that my vehicle can break down at Third Milan Bridge or anywhere, and I can easily get a mechanic instead of going to run around. It even happened to me a day I was going to work. So my neighbor carried me carried where three, and then his tire, his battery got bad, and because he's my neighbor and it will look like he carried me for, and we got to where there's error and we had to stay there. We drove down back, like someone came down, a guy came down, he had to go and look for mechanic, and there was no mechanic close, so he took a bike to where they directed him to, brought the mechanic down, and then the mechanic said he wanted to buy something and he also had to go back. So by the time we were done, it was an hour plus that we spent on that road. But imagine that maybe I was able to snap what is bad in my phone, upload it on the app, and the mechanic that is around there sees it. He will know what is bad and know how to bring his tool down there and fix the car in minutes. So it's going to also help people save time. It's going to help them save time from when your car is bad to when you're able to get to fix it to fix it. So that's it. That's it for it, Bolu. So you get to ask questions, your user research questions, right? To know how your customers will be able to do all of those things. So I'm thinking, right, before I continue here. Okay, so before I continue here, right, let's go to user research methods before I continue, because the next phase we are getting to is for you to be able to know the different methods that you can use for user research. Now, I've already explained the qualitative method, where I said the qualitative method has to do with value, the quality, on how good it is. So under qualitative method, right, we have different types of ways that you can conduct research. We have what we call the guerrilla testing. Guerrilla testing. So what is this? This is a method where you go to the field, right, to test, or you use online tools. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get videos, you're trying to get pictures, you're trying to observe these people on the go. So that's what guerrilla testing is. And then we have the interview. So interview is mostly one-on-one interview that you follow up, that you ask people questions to get their interaction, thoughts, to get everything about them. In Nigeria, if you want to catch a thief, if you want to catch our politicians, right? If you do interviews with them and ask them questions, you'll be able to get them to know exactly what they are doing wrong. So for me, right, I prefer when it comes to research, I know that most of us, the one we are familiar with is the quantitative method where you put out the survey. So you don't even need to be a product designer. And I'm sure that you might have seen it one way or the other, where someone comes to you and say, my company, we are currently trying to conduct a research. Please help me fill this form for me to do this. You might have seen that a lot of times, like a whole lot of times. And this is something that most people use almost every day. Like they use it almost every day. Now we have the focus group. Now for focus group, what you're doing is you're doing like a discussion forum. So let's assume that I want to know something around the mechanic tech, right? I can decide to bring people that have had this issue one way or the other together, and we turn it into a participatory group where we have one person that is leading the discussion by asking questions and everybody is talking about their view. So this is another research way, or this is another method that you can use to do your research. So medtech too, you can go to the hospital and form a focus group, maybe with doctors or people that are sick, to be able to find out their own point of view or know what is wrong with them, or what they've done that is not actually that has been affecting them. And then we have the field study. The field study is the one we mostly use in undergraduate research, where you get to go to the field to now observe your users, taking notes, taking pictures if possible. So let's say you want to know how the northerners farm. You have to go to the north with the field study method. You have to go to the north, stay in their midst for a while, then observe them, and you'll be able to now make concrete decision based on what you've seen. Then we have what we call the in-lab testing. So for the in-lab testing, what you're doing is you're observing users to complete a particular task in a controlled environment. So let's say, for instance, I want users to complete the task of design. For instance, designing a landing page. Okay, sure. I want the users to be able to design a landing page, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put all of them in a classroom and tell them to start designing, and I watch them as they design. And then we have what we call card sorting. Now, card sorting is used to understand information architecture and naming convention. So what is card sorting? Let's assume that I have a goal as a coach, that I want to buy players for different teams. So let's assume that they meet me that I should buy players for different teams. As a coach, what am I supposed to do? I would look at key people that love football, people that are in the football industry that have done this for a while. I will look at those set of people and tell them to help me. So in card sorting, what you do is you have all the players that you want to buy. You have Messi, you have Ronaldo, you have you have so many of them, right? Just see you have all of these players down there. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you have all of these players down. You have Messi, you have Xavi, you have Cristiano Ronaldo. You have guys, people that are playing football now, help me out. Okay, so since nobody wants to help me out, right? You have all of these people and you're a coach and you're supposed to buy players. So what you need to do for this card sorting method is you have to list this player's name. Yes, you have Neymar, you have to list their name and put them in a basket, right? And then once you put all of them in a basket, you now get to label the box. You now get to label boxes. Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, Barca, and Arsenal. Let's say you want to buy players for 5 of these clubs. So now you have a basket full with all the footballers' name. So what you are doing is you call people to come and pick names. So they'll pick name from the basket and open it. When they see the name, you now tell them to suggest where these players are supposed to be. So let's say you have 20 people come and 20 people pick that Messi should be in Arsenal. As a coach, what would now be your decision at the end of the day? If out of 30 participants, 20 people suggested or 20 people put Messi in Arsenal, as a coach, what would be your decision as at that time? Hello? No one is saying anything. I want to be sure that we understand card sorting.
Sorry, I won't lie, I don't
Please,
understand. I do not
please
understand.
can I come again concerning that card sorting?
Okay. So card sorting, right, is you asking your users to help you suggest things. So because I use football. So now let's take, for instance, you have how many classes of food? Let's use 3 so that we don't get confused. We have carbohydrate, protein, and vitamins, right? And let's say you're a food technician and let's assume that there was no classification of this food. There was no classification. And so let me look for classes of food. There was no classification. Then, and someone meets you and say you are a food technologist, that you should help them classify this food. So now, just like you have carbohydrates, you have proteins, and you have vitamins, for instance, these 3 classes of food. And under them, you have wheat, rice, potato, sugar, egg, milk, meat, fish, and all of these things, right? And then you write all of these things, meat, fish, rice, all of them in a basket. Like you fold them and put them in a basket. And then you label buckets like carbohydrate, protein, and vitamins, for instance. And then you call people and say they should help you with this classification. And someone goes to pick, you have 5 people that you called, or let's say you have 10 people that you called. And these 10 people went to the basket that you have all the names of the food. Remember, you put all the names from egg, everything, you put them in that basket. And then people pick, when they pick egg, they take it to carbohydrates. And at the end of the day, when you're counting the number of people that chose egg as carbohydrates, you now have, out of 50 people, you now have 40 people. If you are to make that classification, where would you put egg as? We still don't get the question. Protein. Okay. So why are you putting it under protein?
Because it is more of a bodybuilding food.
Okay, no, you still don't get it. Okay, let me look for a picture that would explain this thing very well. I think maybe because we are not seeing picture. Okay, now let's look at this picture. Let's assume that this is I'm trying to use something that relates better. Okay, let me use this one. So let's assume this is a labeling. This is carbohydrate. This is protein. This is vitamins. Let's just use these three. I label these things like this. And these are all the foods under it. I now put it in a basket. I then tell people to come and pick. And I tell people to pick and fill in where they feel that this thing belongs to. So let's assume that at the end of the day, people come to pick egg and put it under carbohydrates. So people pick egg and they place it where carbohydrate is. Another person picks, place it where carbohydrate is. Another person picks, place it where carbohydrate is. At the end of the day, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eggs under carbohydrates. And I now decide to say, okay, egg is a carbohydrate. It's under carbohydrates. And that's how I make my decision. So this is what cart sorting is, right? Cart sorting is you telling your users to help you suggest where they want things to be. So just assume that you don't know where it's supposed to be. And you have all of these elements. We do it in children party, right? Where we keep different things and say, pick a gift. Just the way they do gift picking. You go to something and pick a gift. Okay, let's say, for instance, names. They have names of people in a basket. And they say, go and pick the name. When you pick the name, you buy a gift for that person. So that's how card sorting is. But this one now in a more complex kind of way. You have what you want. You have the list of things you want. You have, let's say, should I use another example? Is it clearer now or is still confusing?
I think it's clear now. If I could get you very well, like your opinion on where X supposed to be does not really count. It is where the user put it that we count at the end of the day. As in where maybe, for example, they put egg under vitamin and it was just 2 persons and 5 persons put egg under carbohydrate. So at the end of the day, we are going to take carbohydrate because 5 persons chose it. Is that what you're
Exactly.
saying?
You're not trying to understand it. That's what card sorting is. Remember that we're talking about user research and you want to find out what people want. So I'm using egg as an instance. I'm using this as an instance. But in the real sense, right, in card sorting, you're telling your users to help you suggest where they want things to be.
Okay.
So let's say you are designing and you want to put a login button. You want to design a login button. Where do you normally keep login buttons in every design on any websites? Let me go
Mostly on the top.
On the top, right? It's mostly on the top. And then you are doing card sorting. You want users to suggest where login button should be. Let me go to Kuda. I think Kuda has login button. Okay, yeah. This is it. This is how almost all login buttons used to behave. And you as a designer now, you want to design this thing. And you already know that login button is supposed to be here. But then you call your users and ask them where they want login button to be. And they carry the login button and they pick it. You have left and right, for instance, as your box. And you have login and login, right? And you put login and then ask them where they want it to be. And all your users are choosing that they want login to be on the left-hand side. Would you put your login button at the left-hand side? Yes, you would. So that's basically what card sorting is. Card sorting is more like telling your users to help you arrange or name what they want. It's going to help you.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, Basira, you're saying something?
Yes, I was going to comment on what you just reiterate what you said. So are you saying that like users will have different opinions? So is it that we are eventually going to go for the one that has the most opinion, or we'll just eventually pick? Imagine like okay, probably I gave three different options, and one had 7, 3, and 1. So does that mean I'm going for the one that has the highest number of users' opinion, or how do I go about it? Or when I'm doing the card sorting, I only have to give just one option, so that I've just two options, so that it will either be this or this. So whichever one that comes high is the one I will go for. Is that what you're trying to say?
So now, this is what you do, right? You give equal options. I wish I can, if this is in a class, right, I'll be able to use something practical to explain it. So this is one thing I want you to note in your head for card sorting. Remember that we are talking about digital product, right? And when we get to information architecture, you also get to understand it. In every design process, there are blocks. There are things you want to do. You want to design. And from what I've said so far, design is user-centered. You are not your users. You don't know what they want. So for card sorting is a kind of research that would help you to know where your user wants this thing to be. So now what is happening is you have all of these baskets. You would have equal options, right? So let's say if you have 3, you have eggs 3. Like you have equal options. And you say pick. They should pick from the general basket and take it to where they want. So it's just like classification. You're telling someone to classify something and you want them to do the classification themselves, and they pick and they go and put it in that place. At the end of the day, once you're done counting and you count that 200 people out of 250, 200 people are suggesting or are putting egg under carbohydrate, it means that they want egg to be a part of the carbohydrate class of food. So you can now put it for them because that is what they want. So it's just like asking people, I want to give you 10,000 versus I want to use it to buy, I want to see you that same 10,000 to buy you MiFi. You give them two options. You give them the same amount, right? The same thing, MiFi and 10,000 naira. And then 100 persons decide to choose MiFi. And you tell them that it's based on majority, right? 100 persons decide to choose MiFi. And just 2 persons choose 10,000 naira. At the end of the day, as a human or as the person giving them the gift, what are you going to buy? MiFi, because that is what they want. It's the same condition. You are giving them the same condition, but they now choose where they want it to be. So this is, I'm trying to use all of these things to explain it. Now let's come back to our design. Like I said, we all know that login used to be here, this part of your screen. But then when you are doing card sorting, or when you are trying to search where people like their login button, you find out that majority chose this place, this part of your screen. You have to take it there. Okay, Basira.
Sorry, are you saying that the options should not be more than 2? Is that what you are saying? For them
Depending
to be
on
able
what, so depending on what you're putting. So I've used football, right? I use football as a, okay. Now let's leave football. Let's leave food. Now let's come
Okay,
to
sorry. The reason why I said that is because you made an example of the login now. Like, we all know that login is always at the top right bottom. Yeah, for that CUDA that you showed us. So
yeah.
I now want to put it out to my users that, oh, okay, where would you want your login to be? Is it the top right, top left, or bottom left, or bottom right? Those are 4 options.
Yes.
And different users giving putting in different answers. and eventually I now had one one has the highest number. So is it that I'm eventually going to go with the one that has the, or what would I do?
Yes. So at that point, now what happens is you now get to make your decision based on. Now remember that you have a goal. If your goal is to change where login is and all your users are complaining, you're building for your users. That's why it's called user-centered design. If a lot of people decided that they want it this way, you have to take it that way. So do you now understand what we mean by user-centered design? Your users are the focus. They are the one using the platform. If majority of your target users decide that they want to change this pattern, you follow that pattern. So have you gotten it? So we'll still get to talk about card sorting, right? We'll still get to talk about card sorting when we get to information architecture. So I feel that when we get to that point, we get to understand card sorting a lot. So far, it's just Basirat and Nuruddin that is telling me that they finally understand it.
I understand it.
Okay, so we understand it. So card sorting, that is what card sorting is. It's just you telling your users or helping people, making sure that people help you to group content. Look at it. If you read this, it's used to help understand information architecture and naming convention better. Can be really handy to sort large amounts of content into logical grouping for users based on where users want it to be. So that's it for qualitative kind of research. Now, when we talk about quantitative kind of research, right? We are talking about those research that has to do with numbers. One of it is user survey. User survey is mostly questionnaires where you get to type out different kinds of questions. So let's look at this case study, right? And see where this person, you can see user research. I carried out qualitative research with 8 users. That's interview and any other ones they wanted to do. And then these are the insights from interview. This person just did the interview. Now, for some people, you get to see things like I think this is the first one that I did. You get to see things like their questions, their research questions. Look at it, research questions. What is your name? How old are you? Governorate, marital status, what do you do for a living? What are your daily responsibilities? What are the apps or websites you use mostly more than others? You can see questions that you're asking them. At the end of the day, you put it in a survey kind of way and you will get response, number of people that responded, 12, how many males and how many females. You have more males to females. The age range, you can see the age range. You had more 20 years and no, you had more 31 and above, fill your survey. So this is how the survey normally is. And then we have what we call the first click testing. So for first click testing, it mostly works when you have a product. So what you do is you give them a prototype and look at where they click first. So I can give you a design and monitor where you decide to click first. If you go to your bank app, where do you click first? I will get to observe it and know where you click first. And then we have what we call the eye tracking. Eye tracking is almost similar with click first testing, but what you're doing this time is you're observing what the user is looking at first. So I give you a book and I give all of you the same kind of book. I'll just stay and start observing where your eye is going first, if it's the title or the name of the author. So that's what eye tracking is. Then we have what we call heat mapping. So for heat mapping, right, you're trying to show where a user is scrolling, where the user is clicking, and all of this. For first click, it's mostly used to check where they will click first. But for heat mapping, right, you're trying to look at what they do, how they go about their this thing. Then we have web analytics. For web analytics, we are talking more on the the number of people that have used this from so demography, number of page views, number of this. Like I said, that this particular kind of research has to deal with number. And Google Analytics is the best web analytic tool that we know. And then we have A and B testing. Now for A and B testing, right, this is what it is. You will give your users 2 variations. So let me check it online for us. A and B testing. This is how A and B testing is. For A and B testing, you are giving users 2 versions. 2 versions of, I think this explains it well. You are giving, these are the users. You are giving them 2 versions, A and B. Okay. Which works better? You are giving them this, you are giving them that, and you are telling them to choose which is better. Now, based on the number of people that choose one, you just know that you go with the first one. So it's just like comparison. Compare A and B. Tell me which is better. If they choose version A, you just know that this is how you arrange your version A. If they decide to go with version B, you know that this is how you arrange your design. So this is basically what A and B testing is. You can see it. 33% conversion, 53%. So you just know that the 53% is the best. So you go with the 53%. So almost similar to the testing that we just talked about. It's almost similar to card sorting. Just that the difference between card sorting and this is for card sorting, you are giving them names for them to suggest where they want the names to be, where they want it to be. So just like you have this, right? The different categories, UI, UX. Okay, you have courses, you have introductory courses and you have advanced courses. Now you just decide to tell them that, okay, we have voice user interface design. Where do you want voice user interface design to be? If they tell you they want it to be an introductory course, you just know that it's going to be an introductory course. The majority should tell you, just know that it's going to be there. So that's what this particular one is. So so far, is there any question? So it's time for us to ask our questions, guys. Is there any question?
Okay, so for the assignment you gave to us, yeah, is it that we are to forward it before the class starts on Monday or in between, when like how is it going to go? Since you said we are going to do it on Google Docs, is it that we are going to submit the link, or I just need to know how, so that
Yeah, you
know
submit the link. You submit the
okay.
link. So information will come on how you can submit the link. Okay, so Bolu, for A and B testing. Okay.
Sorry. First of all, and the project we are supposed to work in, is it that we should wait till she still wait, or we should start doing something or something, or I don't know.
Okay,
And
yes.
what
I'm
we should
getting
start.
to that part, right?
Okay.
I'm eventually
Then
getting to
another
that
thing
part.
is the assignment. Yeah, assignment she talked about just now. Do you send it to the WhatsApp group? How? Because I came late.
Okay, so the assignment I'm talking about is on heuristic principle. I said you should visit any website of your choice and use the heuristic principle to judge it. So I'm going to follow up so that this recording will be out earlier before Monday, so that you can get to watch it and understand what it's asked for you.
All right.
Yeah. So Bolu writes,
Sorry. And the slides too. The
okay, yes, the slide.
Slides. Yeah, thank you.
So Bolu, now this is A and B testing. A and B testing, just like the name A and B. You have 2 types of food. You have rice and you have eba in an occasion. And then a lot of people come to choose eba over rice. You serve more eba over rice. In your next occasion, you would ensure that you have eba more than rice because you know that people will eat eba more. So for A and B testing and design, right, what you're doing is you are giving them two designs. You're designing two versions of login or anything you're designing two versions. And you are giving out these two versions to users to use. And then you see which one has more conversion. So let's say if more people, right? If people use the version A and preferred it to version B, that means your version A is what works best. So it's just like giving them options. Say choose. You have black and white, especially when you want to sew clothes for a wedding. You have two colors, and your friends are choosing green. You just know that the color of that day would be green. So that's what A and B is. It's giving them two designs, two versions of the design. For this one, you notice that this the same design pattern, but just different color. And they chose, more people chose the blue over the green. So that means the design with the blue is what will work in the market. So that's A and B testing. Now, do you now understand? So just like, look at this. This is a design. This is a landing page. This is another landing page. And people decide to choose this one as against this one that the picture is in the middle. So this is what you would go with. Same thing as this. This is A, this is B. The same design, just that this one has rounded button. This one has normal button. And people chose A to B. People prefer A to B. So that means what is happening? A is the winner. We go with A.
All right, I get it now. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, so is there any other question? All right, so this is what I want to do, right? I'm sending this link again to the group chat for your consumption. To the chat here, someone should send it on the group. Now, what I want you to do, right, in each of the field that you've chosen, I want you to come up with your research goal. I want you to come up with your research goal. What is the goal for your research? What are your goals? So think about it. Give me at least 4 goals for your idea, right? For medtech, Basirat, you get to think about the goals you want to achieve. The goals you want to use that medtech. So now this is a lot of thinking. Remember that UX is thinking, right? You need to think. You need to think. Your head will pain you in the process, but you need to think. Think of the goals you want to achieve with what you choose. You can use ChatGPT to help you out, anything you want to use, but you can read this material through so that you can get to understand the problem when I come out with goals that you are willing to achieve using it.
Sorry, if I'm not mistaken, the overall goal of the project is different from the research goals.
No, it's the same thing, no? It's the same thing.
So, like the one I said the other time, that I said is my goal. Is that not the research goal?
So that is a goal, right? But then you have to write it down. Now, just the way you do your undergraduate research, when you were doing your research in university, right? You have where you have your objective and you listed out your objective. And then the next thing is your question, and you listed out your question. So I'm not even done with that. So once you're done with the goals, right? I want you to ask questions. Write down questions that are related to what you want to do. So just like you have these questions here, right? You ask questions that would help you to find answers to what you're looking for. And I want at least 15 questions.
All right.
Okay, so is there another question? So just before we go, let me recap on what we started today. We started with heuristic principles, and we talked about the 10 heuristic principles. We talked about visibility of system status, where you get to talk about communication. Then we move further to now talk about the design thinking process. And we talked about the 5 design thinking process: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And we said these are what we use to break down complex problem into simpler forms for us to be able to solve it. And under empathize, we talked about the different things that you expect under empathizing phase. And one of it is research. And after research, we get to do the other things, the other data that includes that is involved in the research process. So now we've talked about user research, the types of research, qualitative and quantitative. We also looked at different examples under each of them. And I've given us 3 tasks today, Abby. Yeah, 3. The first one is to look for a platform. Visit any website of your choice. Use the 10 heuristic principle to judge them. Take screenshots where necessary and explain why you feel like they are following the law or they are not following it. The second one, I said we should write our research goals. Our research goals, I don't know how many goals, be it 3, 4, or 5 goals that you want to achieve with your product and that you want to achieve with your research, sorry. And then the next one is to craft 15 research questions. 15 research questions that would help you to achieve your goals. So this is what I've asked for.
So the 3 assignments, are they supposed to be in 3 different doc files or in one doc file?
Use one. Just use different heading.
Okay.
Use one. So you do number 1, number 2, number 3 on the same sheet.
All right.
Yeah, any question before we end the class for today? It's 1 already.